In order to remove our OEM head unit, we're going to have to remove a couple of trim pieces from the dash. The wood grain piece that runs from the top of the dash back to the parking brake, and also the trim ring around the shifter. There are also 2 screws underneath the ashtray. Now we'll remove the door panels in order to remove the factory speakers and install our new speakers. Just like the dash panel, it's very important to know where all of your hidden screws are before unsnapping the door panel from the door. Otherwise you can break or crack the panel. This door has 4 hidden screws, 2 behind the door lever, 1 on the front of the door panel, and 1 in the armrest. All these screws are hidden behind plastic panels. Separate the door panel from the door. We wedge the panel removal tool under the plastic clips of the door panel and pry up gently, working our way around the perimeter of the door. Once all door clips are removed, pull up carefully on the door panel to remove it from the windowsill. The back of the door panel may have many wiring clips that need to be removed. This includes the power locks, power windows, and door light functions. It's important to install the proper size speaker terminal on the speaker wire. The larger terminal will go on the positive wire, and the smaller terminal will go on the negative wire. Now we thread the speaker wires through the factory basket, reinstall the basket, and we'll be ready to install our new speakers. After the bracket's in place, we're ready to install our speaker adapters. We align our adapter plates with the factory. The next step is to slide the DIN sleeve through the front of the dash kit. Press evenly on all sides and make sure that the sleeve is flush with the front of the kit. Next, take a screwdriver or pick tool and bend in the tabs to secure the sleeve in the adapter. The edges of the tab can be sharp, so use caution when bending the tabs. Bend in tabs on all sides to ensure a secure installation. Our adapter comes with a sheet that identifies the function of each of the adapter wires. We will not be tying into the factory speaker wiring, so we can tape these wires off with electrical tape. Our head unit has 2 turn-on leads. One is for the power antenna and will provide a signal when the radio is on. The other is the amplifier remote lead and will provide a signal at all times the head unit is on. It's important to connect these to the proper wires. If we connect the power antenna lead to the amplifier, next we drill the holes for our mounting screws. I use a drill bit that has the same diameter as the unthreaded portion of the screw. This will allow easy mounting while still allowing the screw to bite into the metal. After the pilot holes have been drilled, we switch to a Phillips head bit and install the screws. I choose to hand tighten the last few threads of the screw to avoid cracking the fuse holder. After the door sill covers are removed, we can pull back the interior carpeting and begin routing the wires from the front of the car to the trunk. We begin by lifting up the carpeting, then tuck the wires into the cavity under the carpeting. Here we run the main power wire and speaker wire for the driver's door from the kick panel area to the back seat. Now we prepare our ground wire with a gold ring terminal like we did for the power wire at the battery. To secure the ground wire, we'll need a star washer and a sheet metal screw. The star washer is placed between the mounting surface and the ring terminal, and then the sheet metal screw goes through both, as shown here. Now we secure the combination using our power drill and a screwdriver. Here we see all the connections and adjustments on our amplifier. Front and rear speaker terminals, crossover and gain adjustments, RCA inputs, the power fuse, power connections, and the subwoofer output. We begin the amplifier wiring connections by removing all of the screw terminals. Then we set our crossover section. We're setting the front and rear speakers to high pass at about 100 Hz. We set our gain adjustment on these channels to the minimum. Since the 2-volt output of our now we're ready to begin connecting the wiring. First we plug in the RCA cables. We'll use the purple set for the front inputs and use the black set for the rear. We'll need to make a note of this so we connect the wiring properly during the head unit installation. Then we move on to the power and speaker wiring terminals and connect them like we did for the passive crossovers. Now we're connecting all wiring for the radio antenna, the power plug for the head unit, both sets of RCA cables, making sure we connect the correct cables to the correct output, and finally the CD changer DIN cable. You can see we've also crimped the connection for our amplifier turn-on lead to the turn-on lead of our RCA cable set. Once all connections are complete, we slide the head unit and dash kit combination into the dash cavity. Be careful not to pinch or bunch up the wires behind the head unit. If this happens, the head unit may not sit flush. After our wood has been cut, we want to do a dry fit of the box to look for any major gaps in the enclosure that can't be easily filled in. If everything looks okay, then we can start making our screw holes. We begin by marking all surfaces that will receive wood screws. Then we use a ruler and measure in 3/8 of an inch, half the thickness of the wood from the edge, and mark a line on all edges that will receive a screw. Then starting 1 inch from the corner, after the holes have been cut, we center the woofer and mark the mounting holes. We do the same for the terminal cup. We'll drill these with a regular drill bit. We're now ready to apply caulk to our enclosure seams, but first we need to wipe away any sawdust left over from the cutting process using a damp rag. Then we flip the enclosure 90 degrees to the next side and spray the entire surface. Then smooth the carpeting out, starting from the edge closest to the carpeted edge and working towards the uncarpeted edge. Smooth out the surface and move on to the next side. We're now ready to install our components into the enclosure. Our woofer needs to have its 2 6-ohm coils wired in parallel to present a 3-ohm load to our amplifier. We will accomplish this by soldering the positive terminals of our voice coils together using a small piece of speaker wire. We'll do the same for the negative terminals. We could also use solderless crimp terminals if a soldering iron is not available. We begin by threading the speaker through the holes in our speaker terminals and wrapping the wire around the connection. Then we apply heat to the joint. This is an optional but recommended step. I use one small package for every 1 to 1.5 cubic feet of airspace and mount it loosely inside the enclosure. Next, we cut away the carpeting from the screw holes of our woofer mounting surface. Insert the woofer inside the grill ring, attach the speaker cables, and line up the combination with the mounting holes. Though our equipment levels match, many times they will not. We will need to adjust the gain levels on the amplifier. Using a CD source, fade to either the front or the rear channels. Set the volume to its maximum level, and then adjust the gain on the amplifier to the point where you hear distortion of the music. When this happens, you'll want to turn the gain down slightly.